Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jane. Welcome to Spicy Sunday Finance. But today we have to do a reset. It's going to be a financial reset. For me, I spend the most money in the summer, and in August, wow, I spent I think the most amount in a month this year. So in order to bounce back from it, we got to do a low spend, and September, October, November, December apparently is the great lock-in, so we're going to do that. I go through my budgeting template, which in my last video I got to show you how I use that, so definitely go check that out. So today we're going to go through the same thing, how I'm going to track my finances and budget for September. So we'll go through that together and you'll see how much I will be spending for September. Quick facts about me: I live at home with my parents, so biggest expenses being like rent and groceries is like 90% covered. I do pitch in a little bit, but not that much. I also don't drive that much. I use public transit for most of my transportation. I have a few subscriptions and bills, and then I make about 80,000 a year from my 9-to-5 and my side hustles, not including content creation. My goal for the rest of this year, as we are now in September, is to get more YouTube videos going, but I've also started a podcast, and I'm gonna get more into my newsletter, which will coincide with the podcast uploads, which are happening on Sundays. So as you get a podcast episode, you're going to get a newsletter which summarizes what we talked about in my podcast, and then hopefully the YouTube videos are weekly as well on a Sunday, so that we all go with the branding of this name, because that has been neglected for so long. I also have some skincare right behind me because I put up a TikTok video on how much my skincare costs, so if you want to go check that out. So without further ado, let's get into how we're going to do this low spend September month. All right, so I have my little computer here with my budgeting template. We'll go through it together. September. So where I start off with this is I adjust the view because it is a little bit big. And so in order to see a full view on a MacBook, 50%, 75% if I'm using my monitor back over there. But I'll start off with my income, and I'll put the dates of when I get paid, which is every 2 weeks. So that's September 5th and September 19th for me. I already know how much I'm going to be paid on September 5th. So we're going to put that aside, and then I'll click off the paid when we get paid tomorrow. And then after, I'll go through all my fixed expenses. These are usually some bills that I have, like Google Suite, my phone bill, a portion of my rent. So that will get filled out. Oh, and I also have my gym membership, and I'll just copy and paste that from the previous month. Next, I'll go into my savings accounts. Now, I have a paycheck schedule. This is also linked in my description, the budgeting template paycheck schedule, which I'll kind of show up here. This is kind of a breakdown of how I like to set my sinking funds and my investing accounts for the entire year based on my paychecks, and then I'll break it down. So it kind of looks like this ginormous schedule, and I'll base it upon my paycheck days, like I said. So for this month, I have my emergency fund and my furniture fund. I also have a video on which funds I am putting money into this year in another video, so you can definitely check that out if you want to see what it is. But for this month, I'm putting it into the emergency fund and furniture fund, and I have dates September 5th and September 19th for that, correspondent to when I'm getting paid. I'll put the amounts in the goal section. First paycheck this month, $300 is going to go into the emergency fund, $100 will go into the furniture fund, and these funds are with my partner, so we put money into these funds together. And then when I actually get paid, I'll fill in the actual column and click off the check boxes here so it gets added up to the total. On September 19th, which is the next paycheck of this month, I'll kind of do the same. For those, I have $95 going into the emergency fund. It's kind of a weird amount. It's based on the breakdown. $95 is just how it got to be. It was like a random paycheck day where I got to put a little bit less. And then I have my furniture fund, which is a little bit more than last time, $250. Next, I have my student loans. I pay about $572 and I think 37 cents. And that gets taken out on the last day of each month. In Canada, there's no interest charged on student loans. And then in the province that I live in, there's also no interest. So this is the lowest amount that I can pay off each month. My student loans are quite hefty because I was in school for 7 years. So that's just what it is. Then we'll move on to my investment accounts. So I currently am investing into my FHSA, the First Home Savings Account. I have a full journey of this on my TikTok. I have a series called Invest With Me, and I show you what I invest in my first home savings account. I have been doing this since I first opened it back in 2023, so you can see the progress that I've made and how much money goes into each investment type. And so we're just going to go change the dates for those. And that one is both $500 that I usually put in. And I actually, after the 2 paychecks for this month, I have one more in October, and then I'll be done with filling up this FHSA account. I'll start putting my money into my RRSP and a little bit into my TFSA, which are 2 other registered investing accounts in Canada that are very powerful to use. Now I'll move over to my credit card bills. I currently have 4 credit cards. I'll put all the amounts in here, and I usually pay my credit card on the same day, and that is the 25th of the month. And that just kind of works out with how my paychecks work. But I think with this month, actually, I'm going to set it at September 20th because that is when my second paycheck comes in. For three of my credit cards, the billing cycles are like almost exactly the same, so the due date falls on the same day. This month is going to be a little bit hefty, so I'm going to have to go back and fill those up after I log into my apps and see how much my bills come out to for September. And then finally, we're going to go into the transaction tracker. I already have my G Suite, and that came to $32.15. This is such a funny story because I feel so scammed. I have G Suite because I have my Spicy Sunday email set up, but when I signed up to do the Google Workspace thing, there was no option, I swear, to select the lowest tier one. And I know there's a lowest tier one because my family business has the Google Workspace, and I'm paying $20 for that one. But why am I paying double the price for this one? And I literally could not change it at all. And now I'm stuck because apparently you can't change the subscription once you're locked in to a subscription that is like the higher one. I don't know how it works, but I can't change it. I've tried my best, so I have to pay the expensive one until it renews. But I love this section because as I'm filling out my transaction tracker and I'm inputting all the days in the calendar, it'll add up those days' transactions, and then I can see at the end of the month which day was the most expensive, and it's just so helpful. What I have run into with some feedback I got from my last video from those who actually purchased the budgeting template, which thank you so much. I worked so hard on it, and I'm very glad you like it too. The only issue is for those who don't use credit cards and they just use their debit cards for all their transactions. It doesn't work as intuitively as it should because I have a credit card bill section here where your paycheck is used to pay those off, but your credit cards have a billing cycle that is 21 days before, so it's going to be last month's transactions, which kind of get a little bit confusing because this transaction tracker is solely to see what you spend in that month from September 1st to September 30th, but your credit card billing cycles are obviously going to be from August, so it kind of makes it a little bit difficult. So if you do need help and you have purchased it, I can change the formula. That way your debit transactions, when you put it in the transaction tracker, gets applied to this total up here with total income and the total expenses. Right now, I don't have it set it up to deduct any of the transactions you put in the transaction tracker to take away and add on to the total expenses part. But if you need some changing for that with the formulas, email me after you purchase a budgeting template and I can definitely change that for you. I have done that already for some people. So what we are all here for today is the spending summary. It's a little box right here, and I'm going to go through each section and we'll go through what I'm allowed to spend in. So first, my first category is cafe. That will be $50. I don't really drink coffee. This is only when I go to a cafe to buy some pastries with my boyfriend and we kind of have a nice cute time. So $50 right there. I don't use the food or restaurants, but I have it there just in case for some of you guys. Then the groceries, $200. Again, I live with my parents, so I don't spend too much. I only buy groceries for the lunches and dinners I make when I go to work. Eating out, $200. Last month, wow. So we really am reducing this one. And Luckily, I already had my finance check-in day with my boyfriend. So we've talked about how we're going to split the days that we see each other and how many times we're going to eat out. And then I have skincare, which is 20 bucks. I have one purchase that I need to make because it's a restock, and I know that's going to be less than $20. So I've put that for 20. Gifts is going to be 100. Miscellaneous is 20. I don't usually use this miscellaneous, but just in case. And then I have hobbies, which is going to be $30. I like to go to the community pool, and that costs about $6 each time. So I have $30 for that. Entertainment, I have it as $50. That's in case boyfriend and we want to watch a movie. Bills I have for 100 bucks. Then we jump to public transit, and this is just from the patterns from previous months, and that averages around to 80 bucks for me. So that's going to be 80 for my public transit. And transit in Vancouver is actually really expensive. It's like $3 every time. And then if you go to a different region, that also adds up. So it's expensive. Parking, I've put for $10 just in case I end up paying for some of my boyfriend's parking. And then finally, for Uber, which sometimes I use just in case I run late to work or whatever it is, I put it as 20. So all that together for September, it says I'm allowed to spend $880, and that is my goal for my low spend month. Might be a lot to some, might be a little to you, but the previous months in the summertime, wow, I spent so much. I think I spent like averaging $1,500. So this is going to be half of what I was spending in the summer. What's really fun with this transaction tracker is after you set your goal spend, going through the categories, it'll add up the goal spend that you're allowed to do for this month. And then you have a little emoji. As you're putting all your transactions in the transaction tracker, if it exceeds the goal spend, which you'll then see in the total difference turn red, this emoji will also change. If you are below your goal spend, you'll have a nice cool sunglass smiley face guy, and the total difference will be green. So that is what my September budget will look like. Hopefully I stick to it. It's going to be tough. I feel like low spend months are great to do couple of times in the month just so that you can get back to a reset, but this is not to restrict yourself on certain purchases or stop yourself from spending. Obviously those things are things you have to work on separately, in my opinion. My spend is usually less than $1,000, so this is a very doable goal for me, and the only way that you can know what your actual goal is after tracking and budgeting your finances each month for a very long time, because then you can see what the pattern is for yourself, and then you can adjust your goal from there. Say your average spend is $1,200 each month and you want to try a low spend month, well then you should aim for maybe minus $100, $200, so your goal should be like $1,000. So it all depends on your circumstances. Definitely don't compare yourself to what you see online and other people. But I do recommend that you do this often so that you can see the pattern for yourself and then set goals that work for you. We'll try and see how this goes. Let me know what your budget looks like for this month. Make sure you follow me on my social media. I also have a newsletter, which I'm rolling out. Very excited for that. And I hope to see you in the next video very soon. Make sure you subscribe and follow me on TikTok and Instagram. Oh, and I have the budgeting template and all my templates that are fun finance tools linked in my description as well. Talk to you soon. Bye.